record some of their questions too.
Oh, no problem.
Cool.
All the other pro golfers that drive with me. Thank you. Appreciate it.
No problem. All right, you ready?
Let's do it. This might be the coolest car I've ever driven. Sure beats my Honda Fit at home.
Right? Thank you, sir.
successful in the truck series.
Yep.
And with the truck team. And then you transitioned away from that to the management side with folks like Misha Tate and Cowboy Cerrone.
Yeah.
And then this kid here. Where do you see that going? And how do you see your role in that situation evolving throughout the years?
Well, Ryder's situation is a lot like Donald's was in the beginning. Just felt like he could use some help in trying to make sure that they didn't get into a bad contract, or they didn't have some
Sprint Cup champion?
I think that the role, the biggest role that's changed, as the Sprint Cup champion is just how you represent the sport outside of the weekend. I think as you have little things to do, whether it be going to the White House or going to a NASCAR dinner or for whatever reason or anything in between, you're obviously representing everybody. And I think on the race weekend, our goal was to not do anything different. You don't want to lose that enthusiasm and fire on the track or in how you react to situations. And some people may or may not agree with that, but that's really what got us to where we were. And that drive and desire and competitiveness to go out and race and react how you react doesn't need to change on the weekends, because that's how you got to be the champion, so there's no reason to change that. So outside of the racetrack, there are definitely some more responsibilities, and you definitely are representing everybody in your sport, so you want to do that well.
Is it frustrating to get those 2 wins early and then keep coming close, keep being fast in practices, qualifying in the race, and still not be able to find victory lane? Or you guys have an approach in mind once you get to those final 10 to say this is what we've got to do?
Yeah, I think we've controlled everything that we can control. I mean, it's just like Michigan the last time, you leading a race and get 7/8 of the way through the race and a lug nut knocks the valve stem off, or leading a race at Pocono and the engine blows up, or last week running out of gas at the last corner. But those circumstances I'd much rather have happened now than in the last 10 weeks, and I feel like I still feel like we have the fastest car week in and week out, and I feel like my team's better than everybody else's on pit road. So I think everybody has that confidence that if the circumstances are meant to be, they're meant to be. And I feel like this is a lot like last year, where the only difference is we're not having failures or mechanical problems. We're finishing third instead of first, like at Watkins Glen, or so it's we can't control a lot of those circumstances. So you just ride the wave, and I still feel like we're leading laps and doing all the things we need to do to win races. They hadn't accumulated to the total that you'd obviously want them to, but in the end you still have the last 14 weeks, and the most important thing is to, whatever the stats look like, you want to be at Homestead and have a chance for that title. So on a piece of paper, the stats are already better than they were last year, technically, from a top 5, top 10 lap sled standpoint. But last year you have that championship at the end of the year, and all that didn't really matter because you had one trophy. So that's really the goal, is to have a very level-headed group of guys that stays focused on the things that we need to feel focused or be focused on. And the great part about it is winning that championship last year with all the scenarios that we went through. You can overcome anything, and that even when your back's against the wall, you can go out and perform and win and put yourself in position. And that's really what it's about, is putting yourself in position and having, hopefully it all goes your way. So I feel like we're better than we were last year. We haven't got as many wins as we could have, but it could also go the other way really fast.
What do you expect out of this weekend's package? Obviously, Indy wasn't what a lot of guys were looking for. That's a unique flat track. We're going to Michigan, it's a little bit wider. Do you expect the racing to be the same, any different from what it was?
Yeah, well, I think it's really hard to tell. I think as you look at Indianapolis, you're gonna carry a lot more speed through the corners at Michigan than you were at Indy. And you're only gonna do that once, and so I think that the hardest part to understand is just how much looser will the cars, could they possibly be behind traffic? You never know. It might be tighter with this particular package and tire at Michigan. So you just really never know. And I think everybody in the garage has done a really good job at just kind of putting it out there. And obviously it's a little bit of a risk for everybody. But I think in the long run, understanding what aero package to start 2016 with is going to be good for everybody, including the fans, to watch at home.
Is it concerning that they're doing it so close to the start of the chase that you guys are having to focus on 2 different packages? Indy pack, the high drag and the low downforce. I think they said they're going to let the teams know either before this weekend or right out of this weekend what the package is going to be at the chase. Mm-hmm. How tough is it to go prepare for those final 10 weeks, not really knowing what the package is going to be?
Yeah, well, I think you kind of roll the dice on what you think the package is going to be. I think as you start the year and you start with the 2015 package, and I think that the teams have put the most time into that package. I'm fortunate that I have a team that has put time into every package, and everybody's worked really hard to make those as good as possible. And so, you would hope that it's going to be the 2015 original package. And I think as you look at the cars, we've gone to the wind tunnel and stuff now to understand enough now to understand the direction of any package, and that's really the positive about my particular team is we're fortunate to be able to put a lot of effort into everything.
You guys were, when this whole team came together, it was, 4 way different personalities.
Yeah.
Everything's going to explode. It's going to be disastrous. And yet, there was some drama at the beginning of the season with Kurt, the stuff that went on with Tony. And yet you guys have come through and probably are one of the tightest organizations in the garage. Yeah. How has that happened? And was it a concerted effort on whether it was, the driver's part or Tony's part or Gene's part to get everybody together? Or was it just the mix of personalities just worked well?
Well, I think everybody knew each other for the most part before we even got started. I had worked with Kurt. I had worked with Tony. I'd known and been around Danica. Obviously, Danica and Tony had worked together, and